with, say,
Okay, we can do this one, then we go on, continue on its
okay.
discussion.
Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha.
Hmm.
The unsurpassed, deep, profound, subtle, wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million eons is difficult to encounter. Now that I have come to receive and hold it within my sight and hearing, I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual meaning.
So basically, yes, you are, well, they can diagnose it on the general problem, maybe, but it's not too accurate. But when you have this more, I mean, a critical problem, right? Like the mental problem. For example, the pseudo thought, or the depression. They can be able to see the pattern of the patient, how the brain image show. And you know what? Without that, the psychiatrist or psychologists, they 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 don't know how to deal with it. Usually, what they do is they use medication, but medication alone won't help for some of the certain mental problem. It cannot help unless you look into the image. You will know what to do. Instead of medication, they have a different treatment to deal with it, and it worked beautifully. That from the the tech talk, right, in the YouTube, they call it the TED.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of this yeah, this is the psychologist, and
Mm-hmm.
he present this kind of talk, and yeah, I love this so much. I think it very makes sense, and I want to let the kids to, and I also try to look into many proper problems like the gaming, right? When the people play game too much, what is affect their mind based on the image, and because because those things become a habit, right? And habitual become a pattern, and the pattern you will see the image, the brain scan image, they will have a different image pattern.
There was just a study released that showed a correlation between any type of screen time during infancy and the development of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and autism. Both of those increased with increasing screen time during infancy,
Mm.
but it was mitigated by the parents reading stories to their children.
Right.
So if the parents also read their children stories, that would cancel out some of the screen time.
Mm. You want to say screen time, that mean the game, right?
Any screen time,
Mm.
any like television, computer,
Mm.
because it's like the young brain needs to form to be able to connect with human emotional expression as like through a face and a body. And
Mm.
if instead it's adapting to a screen, then it loses the opportunity to adapt as well to humans.
Mm.
So then they can't really focus when someone's talking to them, and they have trouble connecting with someone else's emotions because they didn't lay down those patterns when they were younger.
Mm. And that's why learning this thing here, you will see different type of habitual, right, pattern, and you will see different type of image from the brain scan. It's very important. The reason why I come up with this thing is, yeah, last Sunday when we have when I teach the high school kid, and also include adult in there for a bit, and I teach the Dharma in Vietnamese, the consonant only, right? And when we come to the section that we deal with the manner consonant, Alaya consonant and the mic consonant. And there is one of them is she asked, let's say that if a person who have the negative affinity with us in the past, right? That means the negative connection in the past. That's kind of seed when it planted in them Alaya consonant. And when we come and when we first time meet that person, how do we know we hate that person so much? Without meet him before. We don't know this person. And this is the first time. So how the Alaya consonant, Mana consonant, and also my consonant work in this way. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, oh, very interesting. And instead of I explain directly on the consonant only, it will be very high. It it it's not very easy. It's too abstract. It's not easy for them to grasp it. You know what I mean? So what I'm doing, I will gather all this thing here, like the brain image, right? Based on the mental problem, based on the game problem, and based on maybe the meditator when they do the meditation and how the mind look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also, you remember Dr. Emoto? He do the water experiment. I also provide that information for them. And to see how mind is very important and how they organize the information they put in. That is the pattern. And that kind of pattern that, let's say that, um, yeah, when we have the trauma, right? The person who have the trauma in the when they were young, they live in the very in negative environment. Maybe they got abused, but they carry on. I have a friend. He carry on that for more than 40. It's about 40 years already, but he still remember that. Whenever we mention about his uncle, not even mention about his name, that the uncle. And you know what? He he his anger is out of control. He was busted emotionally, anger, uncontrollable,
Mm.
very violent. That means without seeing his face, just hearing the mention about the uncle, without mention, I don't know his name, right? We don't know his name, so we cannot say his name directly. But just uncle, and he be able to relate to that specific event. It already passed. It already happened in about 30, almost 40 years. Does it make sense? This is the trauma in psychology. And how this thing works in Buddhist concept only view. And I will use all this kind of different scenario to provide explanation in general, so they have some picture, and I will explain in the consonant only way for them to understand it. If I have a chance to teach you or adult like you in general, consonant only another time, I will provide very detailed explanation. Because when I was first time teaching consonant only on, I began teaching that in maybe sometime April 2019. And that was 2019. In 2019 January, I about to no, I think December of 2018, in mid of December, I start teaching the Dharma in English for the adult. And I start teaching the I began teaching the consonant only in English for adults like you. The class you have right now on Sunday is on that January 2019. I started that subject in there. And at beginning, I do not have a lot of experience, but I only understand on the high, on understanding the principle. But I do understand very deeply. But maybe I don't have enough information about science to be able to demonstrate in the same way that nowadays I have. Maybe at the beginning, at that time it's a little bit too tough for the audience to be able to grasp it. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But now I'll be able to demonstrate and deliver that to the audience more effectively in detail. Because I walk aligned with the science, so they can understand from the science view as well as the Buddhist view. So that's kind of a good question. And I also try to play the section relate only to the the rim, how the mana consonant and the alaya consonant work. Because the the first six consonant is no longer active when we sleep. That's interesting, right? Don't you think?
Yeah. So we have an experience of vision when we sleep, for
Yeah,
sure. When
yeah.
we have a sense that we see. Obviously, we're not seeing with our eyes, but wouldn't that still be visual consciousness?
Actually,
In a sense?
actually, the difference between the mind consonant and the mana consonant, they have some similar, but they also a big difference is the mind consonant, they have the memory, the short-term memory. The mana consonant is not a physical, right? It
Mhm.
just it doesn't have the, because it's not physical, it means it does not have the short-term memory.
Mm.
That's a big difference. The short-term memory, for example, the computer, if you don't have a RAM, right? Can you be able to turn on your computer?
Can you turn it on? I don't know computer stuff really well, but I
Let's say
think
your
you need
iPhone.
RAM. I
No,
think
no,
you
no.
need RAM to turn it on.
No, let's talking about the iPhone.
The
If you don't
iPhone,
have the memory on the iPhone,
if your memory's all full.
yeah.
But that's different than RAM, isn't it? Like your hard drive is different than your random access memory.
Well, in the iPhone, I think it's they I don't know exactly but when they I don't know how they divide the random asset RAM is but they do need to have RAM.
Mm-hmm.
They do need
Like
to have it
to run any program, I
to
think,
run any run, because
like an
basically
operating system.
any application or even the operating system, they have to get the data and load it. In order to load the data into and process it, they need to have memory.
Mm-hmm.
No memory, nothing load. And that's why when you see, if the computer have little memory compared to I talked about RAM, compared to the one have more memory, which one go faster?
The one with more memory,
Of
yeah.
course, because you have
Yeah.
more bandwidth to load the data and be able to process quickly. That
Yes.
so that's the idea, right? So and that's why we be able to remember things. We be able to retain the information and remember it easily because it's in the memory at the time when we remember, because that data in the memory. But when the data is not in the memory, that's why we do not remember clearly. And that's why when people get older, they have Alzheimer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alzheimer, or dementia problem, right? because the
Mhm.
memory become deteriorated. And
Yeah.
remember, the memory, our memory, whatever we have, when it deteriorated, we cannot read. That memory cannot be healed, right?
So far,
Yeah.
there's some studies that there's small case studies that show that mild impairment can be reversed, but they're not very good studies.
Mm.
So there's some doubt about
Mm.
whether that's real or not.
And that you see that the people when they get older, the memory become less and less, and they cannot be able to remember things more quickly, right?
Hmm.
Right now, I sometimes I go to the market. If I don't write down what I'm going to buy, sometimes I stand in the middle of the market and oh, what I'm going to buy here?
Hmm.
It takes me a minute or two to be able to have that. That means during that time when I ask the question, that means they go to the allergy consonant and get some data and try to notify.
But this is something that also came up too. To me, I would think that now, like karmic seeds, Alaya consciousness makes sense. Like events from previous lives
Uh-huh.
and even karmic seeds we plant in this life would be stored in the Alaya, and things that we couldn't remember if we tried.
Uh,
But then it seems like both short-term and long-term memory from this life, like my memories as a child, that would seem like that would also be in the domain of the sixth consciousness, because like if I developed dementia and my mental faculty was defective in some sense, then I couldn't remember those old memories either. So wouldn't both my long-term and short-term, like normal human memory, both be of the sixth consciousness?
Actually, what do okay? Remember our long term, or we don't call it long term in Buddhism. We call it permanent memory, permanent storage. Okay, that is alaya consonant,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the short-term memory we have that like the brain, right? We have short-term memory that where we can be able to when the data loaded, that means all the function of feature from the brain will be activated. So we can be able to think, be able to plan, be able to visualize, be able to contemplate, be able to whatever, right? This come from the data, that means the data in the memory. But if we don't have the data in the memory, and the brain cannot work. Just like if no data loaded in the memory, the application have nothing to do with it, right? They have nothing to process. Or the memory become less and less. That means the application cannot be able to load the data. There are multiple applications to be ready, and they fight each other to get the memory so they can be able to load their data. And that's why, you know what, the multitasking, and I'm talking about the computer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they will each application have a they split the memory into multiple, and each one can load a little by little. Eventually, when they load enough data, they can be able to process. That's why you see it take too long for the application process. And that means for us, when we have little memory, it takes too long for us to remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm? So what is the difference between, okay, you remember when we sleep, okay, remember, when we still we are awake, right? Um, the five consonant, that means the five faculty, it depend on the mind consonant, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we sleep, right, the mind consonant is no longer active. That means automatically the first five sense is shut down. That means we don't see, we don't hear, we don't smell, right? And that means where the sixth consonant go. You remember?
Into the Alaya, right?
No, into the mana consonant. The mana
Oh,
consonant.
sorry. I was thinking, yeah, okay, sorry.
They go there and they rest, right? They rest in there,
Mhm.
and that means the the mind consonant is not there. That means the memory is also not available for the mana consonant because the memory only belong to the mind consonant. And that's why during the time you sleep, you see many images and you could travel to a many different places in the short time, right? Maybe we sleep for 3 or 4 hours, but just like we travel many different places. And it's just like a long trip, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it happened in a short time. See it? So that means when the mind works, right, the time is no longer related. It's not applicable for the mind, right? So, and also you see a lot of data happen and quickly, just like the flash, what do you call the back flash, right? It's flashing. The data is flashing back and forth very quickly. Why? Because they have no memory to hold, to retain. And that's why when we wake up after we have dreamed, we only remember some, right? Not clear. We cannot be able to visualize that whatever we dream, right? We don't. Because there's no memory to retain the data. Therefore, we have a hard time to remember. But the difference between the meditator and us, meditator is their mind is very clear. That means the mind constant, even though they still awake, right? The mind is not have much for thinking like us, I think. And that's why the mind constant already clear. Of course, at the same time, it indirectly impact on the mana constant also very clear, right? So when they sleep, whatever they see, they be able to still to remember more clear, more detailed than us because their mind is very clear. They are not busy with the other stuff, right? Even though when they awake. Mhm. So just like when we if the water in the river or if it's still, the more water, the more stillness of the water, you can see things clear at the bottom, right? If
Mm-hmm.
the water is not still, right, you cannot be able to see it. You just see, but the water is moving. You cannot see things clear. Okay, all right. So it's very much that uh anyway, come back to our study. But I think it's considered only a very interesting subject, and it's one of the most difficult subjects in Buddhism. But it's very profound when you understand it. You not only understand the medical view, Buddhist view, and also it helps us to transform the affliction into happiness. This is the moral. And also that meta visit, right? That means that I mean, not only in the current life, but we can be able to understand how the stream of consciousness flow from one life to the other. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
That connect, right? From the current life, one day when we die, that the Alaya consciousness left the body and become the body, the intermediate state. And that state also have the power of the consciousness, the power of karma. It transformed into the five aggregate or the five aggregate body of the intermediate state, or we call the border state, and it will align with the realm that we are going to be born. The heaven being, human being, Asura, hungry ghost, hell, or whatever. Oh, okay. But anyway, but to me, it's very powerful teaching and very profound. And when I found this thing here at that time, up, I became a novice monk, and after 3 months, right, I be able to understand this teaching. And at the time, I realized the concept only teaching, and I see it is very beautiful. It's just like that precious gift. It's a precious gift beyond the word describe. No word can describe this thing. Even though I try to explain what I see, I cannot be able to explain to you. But when I try to teach, I will stick slowly to make sure the audience be able to pick it up and be able to understand. And from that, we can use many different experience mean, just like the nowadays science, right? To make sure they understand easily. Well, not easily, but more easy than before. Okay. Uh, um, okay. So it's uh it's interesting. Um, Let me see, where are we? Hmm. I think we here somewhere. Yep, we here somewhere. I think right here. Yep, we stop right here. We learn about what caused we be born into Asura, no, Asura realm, right? So they are
Mhm.
the okay. The first one is the body, the small evil, the mouth, the small evil, and the mind, the small evil. You remember we talking about the small evil?
Mhm.
Hmm. That means violent. Okay. The fourth one is much more, yeah, we learn different, seven different arrogant, okay? Arrogant, self-price, supreme arrogant, right? Surpassing arrogant. Um, okay. Okay, now go ahead and you do number eight.
The eighth is the rise of wrong view arrogance. Having no virtue, he indulges in evil deeds, claiming to be virtuous.
Okay, you understand what does it mean?
Yes, yes. If there, I think of there are these people who claim themselves to be gurus,
Mm,
and they're not really gurus.
mm,
And there's one story I think of where they would have nights with their students where everybody would drink, like drink to total intoxication, and then kind of liberally have sex. And they thought that this was a spiritual thing.
mm.
So since they, didn't have right views, they thought that they were special in some way, and that because they were special in some way, that they could do these things and it was spiritual.
Oh, okay. Okay, look like we come to this point here. I have a question. Um, the proper faith, right? Faith,
Mm-hmm.
and pure faith. You know the difference between the two.
Proper faith and pure faith. I wouldn't say I know for sure. I would only be able to try to deduce.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Let's can you explain?
I can try. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would think pure faith would come from direct knowledge, direct experience. So there's a Zen phrase that says, when faith and mind are not separate, and not separate are mind and faith, this is beyond all words, all thought. For here there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today.
Mm, mm,
So to me, that sounds like a pure faith.
mm,
A proper faith could come from understanding, where if we
mm,
have right understanding, then we could have like faith in those teachings, that
okay.
the teachings make sense. We see that the people who apply those teachings, they are virtuous, they don't hurt people, they benefit people. So then we could have faith in that understanding.
Okay, let's do this. They Buddhist lay person, right? He or she come to the temple, do the we call the to help the temple to do all kind of duty for the temple. Right? Maybe some go down to the kitchen and help to serve food for others, prepare food and serve food for others. Or some do provide a free uh, service for help to do the some kind of construction. For example, if the temple have some problem, they come out and help quickly. Okay, that means they are very good do all these things without complaint. They always peace and good. It is considered to be pure faith or proper faith.
Hmm. So they're doing these actions. You could say they're motivated by faith in the Dharma and the Sangha and the Buddha. So is this pure or proper? Let's go with proper. I think it's proper because um it's kind of it's specifically in a certain venue still. It's in like with going to the temple, it it's a little different,
Actually,
I think, than an action kind of out in the world,
hmm,
in the midst of things. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I could explain why I feel like it's proper as opposed to
okay,
pure.
okay. I think it's not only you, many people still not quite understand this.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, it's the people, like the lay people, they usually help out like this. We call the one who support the temples, the triple gem, right? In the sense, uh, that means they deal with the external work, right? To provide the service or whatever. That's good. That is pure. But do you think that guarantee that do they have wisdom?
No, no. I mean, there's a degree of wisdom in saying that, okay, this is a good idea to do this. Like that's a degree of wisdom, but do they have expansive wisdom? No, not necessarily.
These people always want to go into the temple and learn the Dharma.
Not necessarily, no. They may be more interested in just giving.
Yeah, they just interested to provide the material service, right?
Hmm.
But they not necessary to learn the Dharma. No, I mean they necessary to like to learn the Dharma. Is that good or bad?
Well, so good and bad, right? Good and bad are tricky concepts. Something may look good or something may look bad, but it could be better if they wanted to do both. If
But
they
actually,
wanted to
this
practice
is very
giving
important. But
and to learn the Dharma, that would be better. It's better than doing nothing. To practice giving is better than doing nothing, but it could be even better by also learning.
you know what? This kind of service they did, it's good. But what happened is when they come to the temple, not always everyone is good, right? But if some other people come in and the one who caused them have affliction, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Can they be able to handle that emotionally? Hmm? Don't you think they will be able to handle it without understanding Dharma?
No, probably not. It's
I
it's
don't think so.
easy to become, aggressive, become
And
upset, and
and
aggressive.
you know what? Due to that um, unwanted event, right, could cause them to retreat from the doing good for the temple. And sometimes they will withdraw for the bodhicitta monk. Okay, this is important. Sometimes, maybe, if even worse, they were against the Buddhism. Why? Because they don't learn Dharma. They do not know how to transform the mind. Transform the mind is important. So, if they have the pure faith, but they don't have the proper faith, that means proper faith help them to learn the Dharma. Then you know what? This pure faith, or sometimes, yes, they do not have proper faith, even though they have faith. No one create them conflict. But if you know what, let's say they have an affinity with the bad people, but they do have affinity with them, but eventually lead them to the wrong path. That even worse. Remember, if we don't have wisdom, we cannot be able to distinguish between right and wrong. I mean, right and wrong in Buddhism, not in the common world. Yeah, because you cannot be able to distinguish which one is the right Dhamma, which one is the wrong Dhamma. And you know what? And we do have affinity with this person, and whatever this person say, that this person, and we easily listen to them without questioning. And you know what? If unfortunately, if that person go the wrong path, we will follow him or her in the wrong path. This become disaster. That means we not only destroy our good blessing at the beginning that we provide, but in this life we also pray a lot of suffering for the future life due to the wrong view. Wrong view is the most terrible thing. The number one evil. Because it harms not only one life, but many lives after. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's important. That's why, yes, if we have a chance, those people come to the temple and provide a good service to the temple and to community. It's a good thing, but we also encourage them to learn the Dharma and to at least go into the temple and recite the sutra so they be able to remember the teaching, some part right of the teaching. And you know what? One day go in and it will create a good habit for them. And actually, yeah, it happened at our temple. Before, actually in this temple we have a lot of good lay people. They they are very proactive. Come to the temple and provide all the service free with no condition. It's beautiful. They did really diligently. But some maybe 1 or 2 years ago, right? They still outside. They rarely go inside and chanting and practice. But now they go in almost every night and do the chanting and also practice with us. This is how we repay them. Does it make sense?
Yes,
This
sir.
is, this is very beautiful to repay them for their kindness. Because we not only want them to have blessing, but we want them to have the wisdom. Because wisdom is the most important, not the blessing. Okay, blessing is important, but if you don't have wisdom, blessing will lead us to suffering in the future. But if you have blessing and also wisdom, eventually we enjoy the blessing at the same time. We be able to create virtue. This is important. So when we have the pure faith, with our proper faith or with our wisdom, if we easily follow the wrong path. But if we have the proper faith, that means we be able to learn the teaching, Dharma. That help us to create the pure faith.
Wait, what's the definition of the pure faith again?
Okay. The pure faith in this way. Do we remember give me 1 second. Hello, cô đợi chừng bây giờ mấy giờ? Cô kêu đứa nào lên đây đi, có gì giải quyết được. Give me 1 second. So basically, it's pure faith is when we do the giving, right? Giving can be physically, I mean, materially, right? Material or immaterial. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Come here. Okay. All right.
I think I can understand now, given your story. So the pure faith was the person who would give but wasn't coming in to learn the Dharma. And then the proper faith is once they were learning the Dharma. So okay.
No, pure faith in the sense that it's very tough to have a pure faith, right? But yes, when we do all the good deeds, right? But we do not. Yes, you have a pure faith, but if you do not understand the Dharma, the pure faith eventually will lead us to have the wrong path. But if we have the proper faith, that means we learn the Dharma and we practice, right? Yeah, eventually we'll be able to have a pure faith as well. That means we provide a service unconditionally. That means when we do the giving, it's absent of the three substance, I think, if I use the word term correctly. For example, I don't see myself as a giver. I don't see the receiver. I don't see the object I give. When I say I don't see, that means we don't attach to it. Does it make sense? In order to have this kind of pure faith, we need to have a proper the faith. So so that's why the one who have the proper faith can not easy, but can have a pure faith. But opposite, it's not. Pure faith doesn't mean that lead you to have a proper faith. Yeah? Is that understandable?
Yes, Tai.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right, go ahead.
Nine is the rise of the arrogance of too arrogant.
Oh, I'm sorry. Uh, oh, you cannot read with me.
Doi boy ngoi hanmin ni hoi tuamin.
Okay. Okay, for example, if we when someone is better than us, we think them is not better than us. That means arrogant of too arrogant. Yeah?
Maybe overbearing arrogance.
Okay, overbearing.
That's translated in the Lotus Sutra. There are monks of overbearing arrogance.
Oh, okay. Let's
In
try that.
the second chapter, before the 5,000 people get up to leave the assembly,
You call over
yeah, overbearing arrogance is how
Marian. Marian.
that's Burton Watson trans. I don't know if it's. I mean, I guess one could look at the Vietnamese version of the Lotus Sutra in chapter 2 at the beginning of the verse where the Buddha finally begins to preach after being asked 3 times, and then the verse form there, he uses that term. I wonder if the Vietnamese term matches up with the Vietnamese term you're using here.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
not sure, but it sounds like that could be what it is.
Okay. Okay.
Be overbearing, like ring.
Oh, ring.
Mm-hmm.
Over
Bearing, Bearing.
Bar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So, oh, my power is almost that.
Oh
Uh,
no,
okay. I forgot my
we are at 5 o'clock too, so we've made it.